Time to go through the completed town hall. The original version of my town hall was an alt build of the assembly square designed by Yanix. Even though that building was originally designed to be a library, I thought that the facade was impressive enough to be my town hall. Of course, that version of the building has been featured on this channel previously, so you can check that older video if you're interested of that version of this building. Now my extended version uses 2 assembly square sets and the Lego office set. And that set was bought mostly to add details inside my town hall, but the bricks and the plates that came with the set were also useful. Now I'm not sure how much I actually used from the second assembly square set. I haven't done the math if the parts that I used would have been cheaper to acquire separately. But then again, it is far easier just to pick one set from a store shelf than order dozens and dozens of individual parts. But enough of rambling. It is time to take a closer look of my extended town hall. So the center of the building stayed mostly the same. The building used to have 1 set of windows per floor on either side of the central part, but I decided to add 2 more windows per floor to make this a big centerpiece building. Design-wise, this was nothing special, it was just repeating the existing details. One obvious change was adding this clock to the tower. There used to be a set of windows there, but now the windows are moved to the side walls. Previously, there was a door on both of those side walls. Instead, I decided to place a single door on the back wall. Originally, there were no details on that wall, including those nougat cheese lobes in the corners. Those used to be in the front corners only, but I decided to add those to the back corners too. Now, because this was originally an alt build of a single assembly square, there were some parts constraint issues. As I wasn't going to be limited to either single or even 2 assembly square sets, I decided to fix the most obvious ones of those. Originally, these lions were built out of slightly different parts, but with more parts, I could build a matching pair. Clips holding the hammers are no longer dark bluish grey, and the pillars in the upper floor used to be built out of regular bricks, but now those match the pillars on the lower floor. Of course, all this added slightly to the cost of the build, but I think that it was worth it. Now the side walls needed a complete redesign, as this was not going to be placed against another building. For those side walls, I decided to combine these pillars from the central main facade and these windows on the sides of the tower. I just decided to use only single window per panel. Final step was adding these nougat cheese lobes to add some of this nougat color used in the front facade to the side walls too. I am quite happy with the end result. Now the back wall is somewhat different colored when compared to the front and the sides. I just didn't feel like wasting all these tan pieces from 2 assembly square sets. With unlimited budget, these walls would be sand blue also, with white window frames to match better with the sides. But as this side is facing the wall when the building is placed on top of the bookshelf, it was not a priority. Next, let's take a peek indoors. These internal walls are in the exact same spot where the outer walls used to be before I expanded the building. Most details in the middle room were there originally, but now I have 2 new rooms on either side. Once you enter the building through these working sliding doors, you can see this massive staircase. There was a corner desk here originally too, but I replaced it with the one from the office set. There used to be a small bookcase where that door is now, but the red corner sofa was there originally too. For the other side, I decided to build this brown interior wall using that arch piece. The cafe used to be against that wall, but now I have moved it to entirely new room and added some tables too. This small washroom was there originally too, but I just added that light gray section so that the walls reach the ceiling. The other new room is an office room with a couple of office desks and other details. All these details could be transferred directly from the Lego office set. There was no need for any modifications. Next to the grand staircase, there is also a smaller set of stairs that lead down to the basement. But as the stairs are covered with black tiles, those are pretty difficult to see. We'll take a closer look of that basement later on. But now it is time to add the second floor in and take a peek what it contains. The grand staircase splits into two directions, so one needs to make a choice where to go when climbing up those stairs. There are two doors on the left-hand side and one door and an art piece on the right-hand side. That door leads into the secretary's office. Now, as the office is quite small, I did have to modify her desk to make it a smaller one in order to fit everything in here, because I wanted that the mayor's office had an access through the secretary's office. I selected the most interesting looking details out of the Lego office set for the mayor's office. And the mayor has his own entry to the boardroom in the center of this floor. There is a nice big boardroom table in the middle there, and also a sofa and an armchair that come straight from the Lego office set. On the other wall, I have used all the glass panels from the office set that had blinds in them. Of course, if you took the other turn in the grand staircase, you will reach this landing with two doors. From here, everyone else other than the mayor are going to enter the boardroom. And the final room is an archive room. Here I have used the two bookcases that came with the original alt build back to back in the center of the room. I also added the photocopier from the Lego office set and also added ladder access to the roof. Originally there was a staircase leading to the roof, but I thought that it took just too much room. In the original library alt build, the big staircase from the second floor would take you inside the tower on the roof, and because of that, you could consider the access to the roof to be open for public. Now, in my town hall, the tower would just be a clock tower. There wouldn't be anything else there than just a clock mechanism. And that is not something that needs public access. Therefore, I thought that ladder access to the roof would be sufficient. And that is why you saw the ladders in that archive room. Now, once you climb up those ladders, you get to the roof through this access hatch. That hatch design is just copied from the assembly square set. The tower can be removed, and these skylights here are pretty much the only interesting detail on the roof. The mayor has the bigger skylight and the secretary has the smaller one. That antenna that is now on the right-hand side of the building was part of the original alt build. The roof of the tower can be removed, and here you can see the tower without it. The tower isn't that big, and the only detail inside there is this clock mechanism. There is still enough room for 1 or 2 minifigures in front of it, so you could add someone doing maintenance there. And once you add the tower roof in, the whole building is complete once again. There are some minor modifications in the tower roof to make it come off separately and get around some part constraints that the original alt build had. But those are quite minor. And one final part of this building that we haven't yet checked is the basement. I decided to leave the detailing of the basement last when I built my town hall. That is because I thought it would be okay if it would be sparsely detailed if I didn't have that many parts left. Likewise, it would be equally okay if the basement would be very crowded with details if I had lots of parts left. This would also be an ideal place to put all the mini builds left over from the Lego office set that I didn't use in the upper floors. But now let's take a look what I ended up putting in my basement. The basement can be accessed via these smaller stairs next to the grand staircase. Because of the black tiling, those are pretty hard to see. But once the first floor is removed, you can see those stairs more easily. There is also an access hatch to this central room from the outside. The tool rack on the far back comes from the original outbuild. Details at the center and here on the right hand side are from the office set. And I added this short bookcase for this side. The next room is a small office using much of the leftover details from the Lego office set. The final room on this side has a couple of those short bookcases, and I put rest of my print and stickered pieces on top of those. Now those are both in use and in storage at the same time. For the final room in the basement, I added this big tank in the middle. All those other details came with the original outbuild, and I just wrapped them around that big tank. And it seems that this guy has escaped from a prison, and he came back for his stash of cash and diamonds. He might even have some clothes hidden under that big tank, so he can continue his escape. And now we have covered the entire town hall. In addition to the actual building, I also built a town square to go in front of that town hall. And that was of course needed because the actual town hall building doesn't cover the entire space on top of my IKEA Kallax bookshelf. There are these 7 stud gaps on both sides of the building. And there is room for half a base plate in front of the building. So this is the town square that I built to fill that gap. On the sides there are extensions for the side streets. And in the middle there are a couple of planter boxes, some benches and streetlights. And here you can see the town square placed in front of the town hall. Some of the details on this side of the build look a bit odd because the rest of the street is not there. The ballerinas in the middle of the town square are posed sort of a mid-jump with the help of a minifigure posing stance. The planter boxes on either side are of my own design. And my previous video covered those trees pretty well. And the benches are copied from the police station set. And once that town square is added to the layout, it completes the town hall and the side streets quite nicely. And with that, the layout on top of the bookshelf is now complete. And I am very happy to get everything to this point where it is all completed. But this is not the end. It might be the end for expanding the layout on top of the bookshelf, but I will be getting more Lego sets to my collection. Even though originally I decided to limit my collection to modular buildings, I have already branched out to Lego Transformers and Star Wars dioramas. So I will be looking into getting more similar sets in the future. And of course, I can still get more modular buildings too. I have already placed the Sanctum Sanctorum set inside the glass cabinet of the IKEA Kallax shelf. And I can fit more modular buildings in there too. But for the next video, I'm planning to add a completely new type of a Lego set to my collection. Even though it is outside my normal themes, that set was just too good to pass. Now, if you don't want to miss the next video when it comes out, you should consider hitting that subscribe button down there. I will upload the next video ASAP, but remember, when a sloth says that, it means as slowly as possible. Bye bye!